15 years ago, I went to see a naturopath. He was a war veteran turned practitioner, and the very first thing he did was look into my eyes. And I remember thinking, this is weird. I don't know that this is what naturopaths do, but okay. But then he started explaining what he could see, and my mind was completely blown. It felt like he was telling me my life story, even though we'd never met before. That was my introduction to iridology, and honestly, that session has stayed with me ever since. So when Rebecca and I connected, I knew I had to have her on the show, partly to finally unpack what the WTF happened that day and how he could see so many things in my iris, but to also share with you guys what's possible with a different healing modality that I feel like most of us don't come across very often. Now, granted, we did get a little sidetracked, which, I mean, you know me, I love a good rabbit hole. So when one presents itself, I am going down that rabbit hole. But this conversation left me with a honest to God belief that if you have anything going on in your health or your life, one of the first things worth doing is to maybe have your iris mapped. And I say that as someone who has seen just about every healing practitioner you can imagine over the last 4 years. Guys, I've been very honest about my own healing journey. I've literally seen everyone. And what I found is that they all have their own theories about what's happening in your body. And I totally get that it is coming from their perspective of their healing modality. But what I've also found is that it's often like a, let's try this and see how we go for the next 6 weeks, rather than having actual physical evidence for what might be going on. And in many ways, it has felt a little like throwing spaghetti at the wall for me and hoping one of the things sticks. So talking to Rebecca, I'm like, well, iridology seems to offer the evidence first. And I really appreciate that as someone who has spent thousands and years trying to work out what is going on within my body. One of the other big standouts for me in this episode was the idea of living sovereignly. I loved Rebecca's perspective on what sovereignty actually looks like in everyday life, not in an overwhelming make your own bread and opt out of society kind of way, but in small, simple acts that teach your nervous system that you are safe, capable, and supported. Right now, I feel called to grow my own food. I can't fully explain why, but it feels like a skill I need to learn for myself. And honestly, I'm excited by the idea of putting my hands in dirt and watching something nourish me from the ground up. Like, I grew that and I now get to eat it. Like, what a beautiful thing. And what an odd thing to say when that's exactly how our ancestors used to do it. So if you are listening to this conversation and you feel a pull towards something, even one small thing that calls you back to doing things maybe the old way, listen to it. That calling might actually be exactly what you need for your own healing. With gratitude and grace, have a wonderful day.